What is up, guys and girls? Hurricane Liz here, back for another Walmart automation video. And in this video, we're going to talk all about the second biggest red flag with Walmart dropshipping automation and what you need to be looking out there when you interview teams. So we're going to jump into that and a heck of a lot more, including an update on my store. As you can see, as products get loaded up, that sales go up too. So I'm super fired up for this video. I hope you're fired up. Let's do this. All right, so one of the things that I love to always show as usual is my store. Why not? It works automatically on its own and makes money drop shipping products from Walmart. And here it is right here. You'll notice that the last 7 days we're at about 7.7K. And not a surprise, since there's more items in the store, now a total of 1,798. And in the coming weeks, I'm also going to showcase a couple of the other stores that I do have, including one that has an absolutely insane number of products. And guess what? It's brand new. So how does it have an insane number of products? Well, I've had VAs secretly working behind closed doors, adding as many products as they possibly can. So I put a lot of manpower into this. I made sure to spare no expense to the amount of people that were hired to take on this project. And I'm going to show you guys exactly what happens. That and a heck of a lot of other case studies. So let me know in the comments below what other type of content you would like to see for Walmart. And if you enjoy the content that I'm putting together thus far, hit the subscribe button and let me know how much you like this stuff. And again, what you want to know. But other than that, let's jump into this particular video and the second biggest red flag when starting a Walmart automation store. As you recall, in the last video, we talked about the first biggest red flag, but let's talk about the second biggest one. And I sometimes think to myself, this could potentially be the biggest red flag. What is it? Well, it's when your service provider shows signs that all they really give a shit about is getting paid. So what do I mean by that? Well, I mean that whichever service provider you pick, there's going to be a lot of things that you're going to have to take into consideration when you do pick one. Two such things are, the first one is what kind of additional software and or services are they going to recommend that you purchase on a monthly basis. So what that does is that adds extra subscription costs to your overall store, and every single month you're going to be responsible for having to pay these subscription costs. So do consider those, but that's not the biggest red flag. We might talk about that in a future video. The biggest red flag that I'm talking about right now is when a service provider makes you pay on a weekly basis. So what does this mean? Like, Liz, I'm not understanding this. You're totally losing me. All right, let's go back to square one. As we all know, when we do pick a service provider and or somebody that is going to run our Walmart automation store from A to Z, what do I mean by that? I mean that they're going to do all the work on it. They're going to find the products. They're going to list the products. They're going to make sure the products get repriced. They're going to sell the products. They're going to provide all the customer service to make this store run from A to Z. And that means that all you're going to be responsible for is initially setting up the business as an LLC, doing a bunch of other paperwork on the front end, and then making sure that the credit card gets paid each and every single month so that there's plenty of available credit and they can continue to arbitrage these opportunities, thus making you a small profit on each and every transaction. So I know I said that in a nutshell, and hopefully that makes perfect sense. If it doesn't, again, post a comment below, a question. I always answer those. But what happens after that is obviously you have to pay a fee to set all that up. Now that's an initial setup fee that every single service provider will require you to pay if you want to sign up for their service. In addition to that, as I said earlier, there will be monthly software costs that you will have to be responsible for. In some cases, they do pay for some of those, but we'll talk about that in another video. But the next most important part is potentially the number one thing you do have to pay attention to, and that is profit split. Now, let me talk about this. Not all profit splits are created equal. So what do I mean by that? Well, I mean that the profit splits can vary. And again, depending on the profit split you get, that will determine what the original investment price is. So usually the lower the profit split is, meaning that if you get a 50-50 profit split, your original investment fee will be a lot lower than if you choose to take a 70-30 profit split. So here's where it gets interesting. What this means is that each and every month, depending on the total profit that you make, the service provider will collect their fee. So if you are utilizing a 50-50 profit split and the end of a certain month, you finish off with 10K profit, like in this example right here. You'll notice that in June or in May, which we talked about in extensive detail, I made a total of $39,000 in gross sales, paid Walmart $5,700, and had total purchases of $22,000 placed on my credit card, which means that's how much I spent on the credit card that is connected to all these purchases. and that yielded me $10,400 in total profit. Since I do have a 50-50 split with the service provider, that meant that I had to pay them $5,200 in order to finish off the month, and I only profited $5,200 as a result because I have a 50-50 split. So that's all said, good and done, and we all know that that's what happens when you get a 50-50 split. I was fine with it. I know there's a lot of people that are saying like, Liz, how could you pay that much money? That's ridiculous. But at the end of the day, I really didn't do shit, right? All I did was pay my credit card, and again, I initially set up all the business and everything in the beginning. So I'm perfectly fine with that. You guys should be perfectly fine with that too if you're watching this video. If not, I mean, to each their own. They can create their own store. They can do all the work if they want. I don't want to have to do any of that. All I want to do is pay my credit card. So let's talk about the biggest red flag. Here's where the biggest red flag comes into play. My service provider asked me to pay that $5,200 at the end of a 30-day period, which means that allowed things like returns to come in, that allowed things to settle, that allowed everything to be said and done with an entire 30-day period. Now, here is what you need to pay very, very, very close attention to. There are a lot of service providers that will require you to pay weekly. Yes, I said it, weekly. Now, what does that mean? That means that every 7 days, they will want you to pay them via Zelle or via wire transfer or via any one of the other means that are available for you to pay them. And essentially, that doesn't give any time for returns to settle in. That really doesn't give enough time for anything to happen. And since you're not going to get paid from Walmart for the initial first 6 to 8 weeks, that means you're already paying them at the start of the store, and things could add up very quickly. I've seen a couple instances where somebody is profiting maybe $1,000 on their store each and every single month until month 5 or 6 when they start profiting $60,000 in a single month. And I'm not talking about profit, I mean revenue. And they're still required to pay the service provider on a week-to-week basis. Well, in many of those instances, if you gain sales too quickly, you'll get something called a Walmart velocity review, and your funds will be held 28 days. And again, here's where it gets even more interesting. These unscrupulous service providers will still require you to pay every 7 days, even though your funds are on hold, and they're technically supposed to be your partner in this 50-50. Now, doesn't seem like much of a partner to me when the shit hits the fan and they're still demanding money. That's why you have to pay very close attention to who you're hiring and if you really want to work with them. So, added to the list of questions that I talked about before that you should ask every single service provider is how often do you require your clients to pay you the 50-50 split? If you ask that question right out of the gate, you will understand if your service provider is truly your partner or an unscrupulous service provider that's just looking to get rich off of your hard-earned money. So hopefully that helps somebody. I know that was quick, that was dirty. I put that all together in a nutshell, and it might not make that much sense to you, so feel free to ask questions and comments below. I always personally answer those. And again, I hope you like this quick Walmart bit, and I will see you in a future video. So peace out.